Good afternoon once again. I'm Sibi Sudhakaran, and on behalf of the Indian Business and Professional Council, a warm welcome to all of you to this special edition of IBPC for She. To begin with the session, a big round of applause, and let's welcome our President, Mr. Nimish Makwana, for the welcome remarks.
Dear members, seniors, it's my honor to be here on the occasion of celebration of International Women's Day, and the theme is IBPC She. So today's event is to celebrate this International Women's Day, and my theory is we should celebrate on a daily basis and not only particular day. Respect women on a daily basis, not only within the family, wherever you go, within your office or any public place, everywhere. So this should be there in our heart, and we should follow this strictly. We have very prominent panelists today, and Sandy is going to lead one of our members. She was working very hard for this event, and I'm sure it is going to be very interesting for each one of us. Very quickly, give me the brief about last few days. We had a few meetings, myself and Vice President Krishnan Ramachandran. We had a first business group and business council roundtable discussion at Dubai Chamber of Commerce, and various issues were discussed pertaining to the business. And once we have more insight, we'll share it with each one of you. On 16th March, we had a first focus group event, which was very well received by members. Yesterday, on March 18th, Dubai Custom Consultative Council meeting was held, and various important issues were discussed, and we have already invited them to address IBPC members, so that members at a large will have the benefit of the trade statistics and the vision of Dubai government. I just forgot to welcome, we have a special guest with us, and Mr. Mohammed Maghrabi. He is from Consulate General of Egypt Commercial Council, and we welcome him. We had a quick meeting, and I requested him to be here, and he agreed to stay to attend this our meeting. I just would like to quote here that every man needs a woman when his life is mess, because just like the game of chess, the queen protects the king. So I have a long speech. I'm cutting down here, because let us give it to all our panelists and moderator. So please have a big round of applause for them. And thank you very much. I'm sure this event is going to be very insightful, and you all will enjoy. Thank you very much.
Let the applause continue, and with that applause, let's welcome the woman behind this entire concept of IBPC for She, Ms. Sandra Saxena. Please welcome.
And we truly appreciate your presence this morning, for making the time to come and attend. Of course, a special thank you to all my lovely panelists who have taken time out from their busy schedules. What is the premise for He for She is a UN initiative. And what we have done is taken that and made it our own by calling it IBPC for She. So we are interested in collaboration, we are interested in engaging, we are interested in educating, and every member has a role to play. It's not just women on one side and men on the other. So suggestions, contributions, coming up with ideas, sharing those, and growing together is what we're looking at. We all do know that women still need a bit of support, and that's the reason why IBPC for She is this new initiative. I have chosen today a group of ladies, and they call the millennials, because the millennials are the people leading the change that we are seeing in the world today. They are one of the most educated, they are one of the most conscious when it comes to the environment, and they have a lot of innovation. They're also the most technically savvy generation that we have today. So without further ado, I'd like to invite my charming, intelligent, educated, ambitious, focused women to the stage. Please join me. We all know that millennials always change the order around when it suits them. So we're going to be specific on time, and we have a timer with us, so we don't go overboard, because I would like this to be the most interactive session. And after we've heard from our panelists, I would like our esteemed guests to please contribute by asking questions so that our panelists could share more information. So I would like to start by asking Shafina to please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shafina Yusuf Ali. I'm a restaurateur and a hotelier, and that's what I do. I am a creative person, and I believe that's where my forte lies. And that's all I'd like to give as my self-introduction.
Okay. What about you, Deepika?
Good morning. I'm Deepika Mehta, Director of Corporate Communications and CSR. And I would like to share my mantra, which is I learned from my father-in-law, like you say, he for she. He always tells me that, and this is my mantra now, he's like, if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. And if you're willing to learn, no one can stop you. So I think that's what keeps us going all the time.
Excellent. Sonia?
Morning, my name is Sonia Alukas, Director of Joy Alukas Jewelry, proud wife of John Paul Alukas and two lovely girls. I overlook the operations and the marketing strategy of our company. Thank you.
So, Shafina, I'll start with you. The faith and confidence of the old guard to involve and to hand over to the millennial females. So that's what we're talking about. So was this a natural progression for you?
I don't think so. I think it may be different now, but it is difficult for the old guard to kind of hand over to anybody, irrespective of, I think, gender. But the faith, I think that is what sort of pushes that forward. And then I think every day you have to prove yourself as an individual, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a thinker. And I think that's how life moves on.
And if there were male siblings or cousins, how were you sort of selected?
I don't think we ever got to that because I started my business on my own, so which is very separate from sort of what he does. And it was more proof of concept, and then went on from there. And I think it's gone good so far.
So you said you were pretty much as an entrepreneur. So were you sort of groomed when it came to the education part and qualifications and stuff like that?
I did my bachelor's in finance and I did my MBA from Oxford. So I think in that sense, educationally, qualification, and then sort of grooming, I think was different because I think I learned from example and from the dinner table conversations and from really watching the sheer hard work that my father put in every day at every single point in his career, and the life that he had sort of envisioned, and how persistently he went behind it, and how much I think my mother sort of stood behind him. I think these are the things that I think I learned and sort of adapted in my life as well.
Great. Deepika, would you like to tell us a little bit more about how you were groomed for this position? Was it education, qualifications, what exactly?
Honestly, in my qualification, I have done my visual communication, which involves photography, videography. I got married very young, and I mean, there was a desire to work, but it was always family first. But then I think I was highly encouraged by my father-in-law. He asked me to join him. He said, how much ever you can start, like even with initial little time that you can give. He said, come. And he made sure I succeeded in the beginning because he didn't want me to, give up. So then when he knew I could take up, and that's how I got the ball rolling. And basically he says that, and which I totally believe right now, that CSR of philanthropy is not just giving money. It is how much time and love you put in giving. And that's what I'm learning from him. And I've realized that, with the small initiatives that we do in our organization, the feel-good factor that comes in every individual, I think makes them perform better even professionally. Even a simple blood donation drive. They donate the blood, they come back feeling so good that they've given back to the society in a small way. Because every time it's not only giving charity or money, it is doing the small acts, this random acts of kindness that makes them feel better. So that's how we get things rolling in the organization.
What about you, Sonia?
My background is actually, I've done my master's in aviation management, completely different from jewelry. Only both of them are work of art anyway. So that is my background. But coming into the family business after I got married was how I was introduced into the jewelry. So my family's been a consumer of gold. We've all been consumer of gold. We've gone with our parents shopping and everything. But just to know more about what's happening behind the scenes, management, operations, everything, was after I got married, and I've worked for the industry, the aviation industry, for 6 years. So coming into this, my husband was like, it's a big platform. You can choose what you want. So I think I had the liberty to choose what I wanted, which I think was an extra boon. But he was there with me, guiding me, telling me, whatever you choose, whatever sparks your interest, you can choose. So he actually helped me out to transition into the industry with no extra pressure. Being the only son, so he's got a lot of pressure to go ahead with the business, and when he's looked up after his father. So I was in a position where I could maybe help him out or just assist him. So we looked into the marketing, and that was something that actually interested me. And to know the basics of jewelry, you have to go deep into it. So I actually sat down with the purchase department, started with the tagging, going in. So started from the bottom, started learning everything one by one. And I think that helped me a lot. And his constant guidance, and also my father-in-law, he's also been such a backbone help. So my husband says, so we're going for a meeting, you can come in, sit with us. You don't have to say anything, you can just sit and listen. So I think sitting and listening to all the meetings, seeing them talk with a lot of wisdom and advice, I think I've got from that. And being always economically aware and what exactly is happening in your socio-economy, just keep yourself aware. I think that has actually helped me, and the constant backing of my husband in everything that I do. I think that's how I think I transitioned into the industry. Yes.
Excellent. So what I'm seeing here is there's always been the male, whether it's the father or the father-in-law or the husband, always being very supportive. So I think a round of applause for the men. I can see some very happy faces here. This is not only about women, but it's about the synergy and the support that we're talking about. Because when we are moving from one generation to the next, the millennials obviously have different ideas about how they would like to take business forward, how they would like to expand or innovate. And looking at that, Shavina, I wanted you to tell us a little bit about your business and what you do in that.
So, like I said, I started my business from one little coffee shop. And I think I look at my business sort of as a startup, and it is still a startup today. We started with, I think, a cabin in one of my husband's offices, and we had, I think, 2 people, me and 2 other people, and we started one little restaurant, one little coffee shop like that. Went on to the second, the third, and now I think, if my numbers are correct, 28 restaurants in the UAE. Thank you.
And how long did it take for you to go into this super expansion?
I think we've been running as a company now for 10 years. We've expanded in India as well. And then my husband and I set up a hotel company together where I'm a director as well. So I handle all the branding, the marketing, the design. So I think it was more about where I'm passionate about and sort of achieving the vision that I set out in that sense.
Okay, so just staying with you, What are the challenges that you faced when it came, for example, you're a startup, as you said.
Yes.
What are the challenges you faced in terms of funding that? So was it like, Daddy, this is what I want to do? Or Daddy said, you know what? You go and do your homework and come back and then see.
I wish it was the first one, but it wasn't. It was truly a sort of challenge, and it was a good learning curve for me, because it was in no sense whatsoever an easy task to convince my father of anything, if anybody in this room has ever done business with him. So it was an uphill task to do the homework and to be clear. And even then, when I was clear about what I wanted to do, and even when I opened my first coffee shop, and it was an overnight success, he said, you have to be ready to fail. He said, don't get so attached to what you have created that you're not able to let go. It was always that the climb that you're climbing, you have to always make sure that every step that you take, you are thinking, what is the hardest that I can take and still get up? So it was always that. And I think me thinking that way has always helped me get where I am today, because I'm always thinking, let's say, 4 steps ahead in that sense.
So Deepika, when I look at you and the CSR project that you now handle for your father-in-law, if I remember correctly, when we spoke some time ago, you mentioned how he did a lot of things, but it was all over the place. Yeah. And so you came in and started taking care of that. So where do you see yourself taking this CSR initiative for the company?
Right now, we are working towards getting the basic CSR initiative. It was done in group level, so we used to do it in the corporate head office. But right now, like you told, the millennials, when they go to any retail brand, they want to know what the company is doing. They want to connect to organizations that are doing good. So now, even when we have our retail organization, Jewel Corner, it's a jewelry brand, we try getting CSR initiatives in that. For example, we had a diabetes check day, where we had people stopping over to check their diabetes. So it's like basically getting more involved. Now we have disabled-friendly kiosks, so where people can come in wheelchairs and still access to the kiosks. So all these small initiatives also are very important in retail brands. I totally believe in that.
And Sonia, you are now quite involved in the business, and of course, at some stage you had the support of your husband, but I'm sure you are also doing things on your own. So when you have an idea or you're thinking of an innovative way of whatever it is, how well is that received, and how much work do you need to do to convince the others?
You're right, actually. I think I have a lot of freedom, but I think with freedom comes a lot of responsibility and accountability. So, you know, it is very crucial to utilize your freedom in the right way. Just because you say, my husband's backing me up, or my father-in-law will say, whatever, it's okay, go ahead. You cannot take that for granted. So anything that I have to put across to him, I need to be convinced that it's okay, and I need to put it forward to other people. And before I even present it to him or to my husband, I need to ask a lot of people, because they have a lot more experience than I do. So, and our company has a system. So when you want to create a revolution, you cannot just break the system, and you cannot do, I'm a woman, I want to change everything. Because once you come into the business, you're like, everything is going wrong. This is not how it should be. That is not how it should be. Why isn't it very clear? But then there is a reason for a system. So you need to understand that. And just because you're the daughter-in-law, or you are able to make a change, you don't need to push things up to people just because who you are. So you need to respect and understand what they have created is painstakingly done. So that you have to respect it, and you cannot just say, whatever you did was, it just happened because of that time, or it is. So you need to respect that, and at the same time, when you're doing something or you are presenting something to him or to the board, I also have to convince them. So it does take a lot of conviction and bringing back, making changes, bringing back, coming back. And there are a lot of things that I have been rejected as well for. So that I have to make sure that I take it positively and not think like, oh, at least he could have just allowed me to do this. What's wrong with it? I shouldn't be thinking that way. maybe understand why it is done, or maybe put it through in another way. So there are many things that I have tried. If I've said it as A, B, C and it's not worked, the same thing I've tried saying it as X, Y, Z and it's worked. So then I've understood how different ways to say things. And yeah, I think it takes a lot of conviction to get a project done, or I think like any business dealings, you take a lot of quotations or you look at which is the best option for you, the most quality and everything you do. So I think you need to take a lot of sets one by one options and then go ahead. So it has been a bit of an up and down, and I think that's made you, whatever makes you weaker makes you stronger, I think, right? So I think that's I think what has helped me.
Bring on the heat and pressure. That's how diamonds are made.
Absolutely, yeah, you got it.
Okay, so now we come to that all-important work-family balance. So from what I understand, all of you are mommies?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, so how do you manage that? And I'm assuming the kids are still quite young. Okay,
Considering
so
a millennial.
yes, obviously. So there are many years where you will have to still play the mommy role in a pretty active manner. So how do you manage that work and life balance? Because you need to be dedicated to your responsibilities, whether it's the business or the projects or whatever else you're doing. And at the same time, you need to be very much attentive to your family responsibilities. So, Shavina, how do you manage that?
So just a quick background. I have 4 kids. My oldest is 10, and then I have 6-year-old twins and a 4-year-old. So house full, hands full. And so I'm going to throw in a curveball here and say there is no such thing. There is no such thing as a work-life family balance. It is always out of balance. You as a mother, if you're working full-time, it is not possible to balance it all. And the first thing that I would say as a full-time working mom is that you have to accept that. You have to accept the fact that you are going to drop at least one ball every day. And you have to be able to forgive yourself for dropping whatever ball it is, be it work, be it family, be it being the daughter or the daughter-in-law or the sister or the friend because you're playing so many roles every day, and you're going to drop one of them every day, and you have to accept that idea and forgive yourself, and the next day pick it all up again, because it's not going away. You have to sort of move on. And this is, as life goes on, I believe more, it is becoming more and more applicable to men as well, because the men in our lives play these multiple roles as well. And it is, I believe, more difficult for them because they are under so much scrutiny and so much pressure every day to sort of be amazing at all these roles. And I think the fact that we support each other is, I think, the most important aspect of this work-life balance. And I think the second and the last thing that I think for this work-life balance is to accept the support. For me, my biggest support is my mother. And she's the mother to my kids when I'm away studying, or when I'm away working. She is their mother for me, and accepting support like that from like-minded women or men is, I think, the secret to that.
Okay, so this is the next question before we move on to you. It's a question for each of you. Did you take maternity leave?
I did, actually. When I had my twins, they were 3 months premature, and they were in the hospital for 3.5 months. And I grudgingly had to sort of drop everything in my life, all the other roles that I'm talking about, just so that I could be there for them. And alhamdulillah that they're doing so well today. But the fact that my husband was there to pick up all the rest of the pieces. So he was a daughter to my parents, I think, during that time. Even to that point, he was both mom and dad to my oldest, who was only 4 at the time. So I think that I think to be able to do that as an entrepreneur or in the roles that we are is, I think, very lucky.
Deepika, what about you? How many kids and what? I know that we have
I know,
these
little background
conversations
here again.
where it's always your timing is fixed according to the kids.
My time, my appointments go according to my kids' schedule a little bit. I have 3 children. They're 6 years, 9 years, and 12 years. They're much older, and that makes it a little easier. Trust me, as they grow older. And in one of the interviews my husband had given, he said that if my boys see my wife work, and that were on par with men, I think they would respect women more. And I've seen that. You know, I had gone for one of the Hindi nataks in my children's school. They're learning Hindi in school. And my son said, "Meri mummy pyari hai, meri mummy kaam karti hai." So this is showing that when they are brought up, they respect. They've seen their grandmother. They've heard stories. They've seen their aunts. All of them work. So they respect that women are there in business. They also have a work life. And I think it sounds cliche, but it is quality over quantity any day. You give your children the quality time. It doesn't matter if you're stay-at-home mom and being there at home. If you're able to give them that little time, I think there's 7 times of the day the children need you. When they wake up, when they sleep, those little times when they see you for those few seconds, I think that's good enough for them, for their childhood to have that mother connection. So.
I
That
think
little
that's
bit,
an important part as well.
that little
because
bit, and like Shafina said, that if you have a strong support for me, I have my mother-in-law who's supporting me as her child, and then I have my father-in-law. Like now, if I have to travel also, I go and check my father-in-law's schedule and put in his calendar, Deepika's traveling, are you there in town? So, you know, it's basically for children having loved ones around them. So for me, I'm blessed to have that. I'm really fortunate to have that support. And like you said, when the fathers take up dual role when needed, when they become the fathers and mothers, it really helps you to grow as a person.
Absolutely.
Great. I think I should second or third by saying about support system. I've also been blessed to have my family here. And okay, I have 2 kids. The older one is 5.5 and the younger one is 2.5. And I have been lucky to have my parents here. So I was born and raised here. So I have my parents here. Even when I travel, it's like I need to make sure that my parents are here. I need to make sure that mom's going to pick her up when she's in school. So just like what Deepika was saying, it's the few times when you have to be there in their life, like when they're waking up and when they're going to sleep. And but the thing is, you know, mom guilt is something that you can never, you know, get rid of. You have so much, you're either there or you're not there, and that's going to affect you. You're like, either you spend too much time or you spend none. You know, it's just so, it's very strong. You can never get out of it. So I think when you say work-life balance, there's like work, then life includes actually your marriage, your kids, and I think the third one, which is so important now, is your me time. Your me time is most of the time compromised. You have to you're making sure you have your kids' dental appointment, their pediatric appointment, and you totally forget about yourself. So I think now I've got a very strong thing that my husband also keeps pushing me. I think you need to go for some time for yourself. Let me take care of this. It's their school. Let me do the pickup, or let me do the dropping them to the dance class. I'll do it. Why don't you go for just relax for yourself? I think you would need it. And I think I'm hoping that he's saying it out of love or for me to change my reaction or the attitude for that day. But I think it rejuvenates you in a way that you come back all fresh and you're like, okay, you can start from a fresh plate. Let's start all over again. So I think to have a work-life balance, like Shafina was saying, you'd never get it perfect all the time.
As long as there's some kind of balance.
Yeah, and then you have to do a lot of prioritizing. There's a lot of prioritizing. Time management, 24 hours are not enough, 365 days are not enough. And, you know, you need to identify what cannot be negotiated, what cannot be compromised. You need to make sure that you do not spend time, you know, unnecessarily, where you're like just doing nothing when you could have done something else more productive. So it's easier said than done though, but I feel when you are there and when you are able to give them quality time, when you're sitting with them at least for that 1 hour and you're not looking at your phone and replying to your mails and your WhatsApps while you're spending time with the kids, it's very important. And we have a rule also in your dining table. When we bring the phone, the older one goes like, "Mommy, Daddy, family time, no phone." And we're like, "Okay, sorry." So, small things, what we teach them is what they would also raise up to be. So I think it is very important that we start from the roots, and what they see is what they would imbibe in them for their future also. So I think it's very strong for any
You have to
education.
be a very good role model.
Exactly, which is
right?
very tough also.
Because you're leading by example. So what I'm hearing here is that each of you has a lot of family support, right? Each of your families are involved in very large businesses. Okay, they're very well known, very respected in the market, and we know how mega they are. But today is the first time we're actually seeing a little bit behind the scenes of what goes on at the dining table, what goes on when there's a health crisis, what goes on in how we are treating our children. And it's not always about, I belong to this family, so everything's just okay for me. There's a lot of support that's required. There's a lot of buy-in that's required. And I just want to touch very briefly on, you talked about the kids. And that's an important part. But I'd like to hear something about how do you balance your time and your attention with your husband? How does that work? Is it like I have a tacit understanding?
No, I'm not. No, I'm just make it easier to give you thinking. I think after the first child was born, it was a little tough because I'm a very hands-on mom. I'm like, I cannot trust anybody with anything. I need to make sure that this goes right, this goes right. But I think after my first one, I have learned to understand that it's very important that you need to spend quality time with your husband. And we've made sure that we do at least one holiday without 1 or 2 maximum, or minimum, should I say. But we try to, if there's a work travel that requires us to be there for 2 days, we try to push it into 3 days and have the third one as a little time for each other. So I think we do a lot of traveling, and Thursdays we take it like, okay, let's just drop the kids off to the grandparents. It's Grandparents' Day. Grandparents very happy at the same time, so they get to spend time with their kids, and at the same time we get to have a time for us, go out for a movie, a small lunch, or a dinner date. And it's so important actually, especially in this world where you have a lot of things running through your head. You totally forget that was even there. So I think we manage small things in between just to keep our relationship very stronger. And at the same time, thankfully, I'm in the same business as my husband, so I understand what he's going through. If there's any commitments that he has to be at, I totally understand. So if I have to be somewhere, he would take over. If he has to be somewhere, I take over. So I think we've reached that position where now we know. I think we learned it over the years, and now we know.
Does that apply to you as well?
Second that, I think we've got the balance. I think women are the CIOs. I wouldn't call us the CEOs or the COOs, but the CIOs, the Chief Influencing Officers. So now that when I'm working with my husband, I actually spend a lot of time with him at work, but even after work just to talk about, and it's not necessarily about business, but other things as well. And like she said, you make the most of the time you get. We do travel, we do spend, but I think it's just this time that you spend after work, when you sit back and reflect on the day or just talk about children. It's not, you just learn to strike a balance. After being so many years, you do go wrong. You do realize that sometimes you get carried away. Like I do get carried away when I'm working sometimes, that I forget. It's 10 and you're still working, and he's like, you know what? Now we need to call it a day. So,
what about you, Shafina?
I think we have a no work talk at home policy. So we try not to talk shop at even dinners with the office when we have, because we do that a lot. We see the people that work for us as our extended family. So we have a lot of them over. So we have a no shop talk at home sort of rule, which I think helps because my husband and I really go at each other, I think, at work, because we think so differently, which is great for the company because we have a lot of great ideas that come from both of us, and we really debate and discuss it before anything goes forward, which is great for the company, but not so great for I think, the relationship if we do take it home. So I think that helps. Plus, like Sonia said, we do a lot of traveling together because we work together. So I think that always helps as well.
I think the travel bit helps, right?
Because being in the same organization helps us. I think for three of us that's common, because then you can get to take off together. I mean, I highly respect the working women who are not working with their husbands, because then your travel plans are different, your work timings are different. So I think the first month I was working, I actually saluted all the women. I had a get together and I said, I really appreciate, because here I still had the convenience of going back home at 2:30, whereas the women working were there till 6:30, be the secretary, be, the commitment of time and the way they manage the children, it's absolutely hats off to them.
Wonderful. So we are also doing our time management here. And ladies and gentlemen, you've heard a lot about the different aspects of each of these wonderful young ladies' lives. And so now I'm going to open the floor for questions.
To be fair to all three of them, one short question to each one of them.
Okay.
Is it okay? Yes. Yeah, okay. Starting with you, Sonia.
Okay.
And these are the question I asked my younger daughter. She's involved in my business. Business-oriented question. All of you are directors of your company. Jewelry business is undergoing tough times last 2 years. Many jewelers have shifted their base to Turkey. In terms of marketing activity, what different things you are doing now? That's question for you. Okay. Question for you is, Deepika, is CSR always has been construed as having marketing collateral as well. Do you keep that in mind when you are doing CSR activity or not? And to you, Safina, the question is, many of my friends started coffee shop and they wound up. Yours was overnight success. What different things you did, or is it Yusuf Ali name?
So, like you said, jewelry is actually going through a tough time. It's actually right. And we are a company which is focused basically on 22 karat gold jewelry and diamonds. So, which, as you can see, as fashion is going, the interest towards the 22 karat is slowly reducing. But as a company, I think we have gone through and we have sat through and we are analyzing the customer profiles and all the researchers and everything, and especially our customer behavior. And we have made some tweaks in our business model as well. And we do not believe in reshifting our base to Turkey, because Turkey, I don't want to get into politics, but it's also a little unstable at the moment. But we have, according to marketing, the question was on marketing, we have revisited our budget in many ways, and we have cut a lot of things which was a luxury before, and we are able to now focus on just what we need, or just what gives us the entire exposure. We need to make sure we are not spending excessively or throwing in money for just random anything. So I think we are very careful now with regards to budgeting and our exposures. We're making sure that everywhere we are, even if it's on TV or TRPs, or even if it's on the radios and if it's on the billboards or social media marketing, we need to make sure that whatever we are putting in gives us enough of impressions and enough of responses. So I think we've definitely curtailed a lot of things in our budgets. Thank you.
My question is regarding CSR and marketing that go hand in hand. We have branded, actually, imagine we have branded our CSR initiatives under the heading Mandar, which is a giving tree, with our slogan being connecting goodwill to good work. So it is just, if the minute you start documenting, you actually have how much you're doing, and you can actually tell people, your stakeholders also. Now, we had our UN sustainability report printed. The first time that we made it in 2016, to be very honest, it required a little marketing help, organizing, creating it. And when I looked back, reading it, I was actually proud that we were doing so many things, even without realizing we were doing it. Be it human rights, labor laws, gender equality. So when we start compiling things together, I mean, you can call it marketing. Marketing is actually talking to the others about it, but first for the organization itself, when you compile it. And then when you talk to people about it, it just shows your passion for the work. So I think they both always go hand in hand, though in a much, much subtle way, but they do.
I think my question was about coffee shops. Well, the international statistics is that for every 10 new F&B concepts that open, 7 of them got a business in the first 6 months. So I don't know why is that, because obviously there's so many variations of reasons. Obviously financial, not financially prudent, not the right resources, not the right location, not the right concept, not the right food. So there's so many reasons. I can't tell you why they wound up, but hopefully we're doing the right things, because we look at concepts when we create concepts. So I have 3 concepts that we've created. We have 4 that are franchised. So when we look at concepts, we look at them as numbers. I think because I'm from a finance background, I look at numbers before I look at the concept. So in terms of how does that number look and what number do I need to hit to sort of break even, and then we go from there to the concept rather than I have a concept, let me work the numbers. So I think we work it the other way around. I think it also helps that we have an amazing team that manages our staff. So we have, as far as I know, one of the lowest employee turnover in the industry, which is great. I think especially being in the F&B industry, which is already a high turnover, sort of staff turnover, sort of, because we see our staff as extended family. And I think that's something I've learned from my father as well. That helps. Also the love and the passion, I think. That's what it started off with, the company, because I love what I'm doing every day. We look at ways to improve our restaurants, our food, our decor. Every new restaurant is a step forward and an improvement. I think we are constantly looking at our product and our service and the experience that we're providing, and we're constantly improving. And our whole team, be it the finance, be it the HR, be it the operations, are all focused on that passion that we have. And I think that's what pushes us forward. And I think that keeps any business alive.
Always we say, behind success of every man, there is a woman. How you can prove it? And my question to Sonia is, when there is a business arguments in the house, is there any win-win situation or a compromise?
My question was, behind every successful man, there's a woman. I think there is this famous proverb, if I'm not mistaken, that says there's a he in every she, there's a he in every her, there's a male in every female, there's a Mr. in every Mrs. So I think if you have a supportive and understanding wife at the back, or a mother or a sister who can support, and I think somehow women think more with their heart than with their head. So, like, I would honestly say that even in our organization, if my husband is the brain, I'm the heart. So it just gives the right balance. So that's why it's important to have women in the business. And for every successful woman, there's a very supportive family. It's not just one man, but a whole support that comes.
Very true. Now, regarding an argument, I mean, I think we're all in a household where we both different personalities. Everybody has their own choices. Everybody has their own reactions to different things. I think this doesn't have to be me specifically, but I think it depends on, we make sure we don't have are you talking about work argument, or is it just family? Business argument. Oh, business argument. Okay, so I think I would never argue regarding any business reason with my husband or my father-in-law, mainly because I think they have more experience and they have more exposure to this industry than I have. But at the same time, being a consumer, I think I would be the person, because they are thinking it from the back end, but I might be the person who's the buyer. So I mean, the business should be targeting me. So what is the reason that they should be pulling consumer? So there would be certain things which I would be saying, but the consumer wants it this way. You're thinking it from the back end, what you think. So there may be times when we do, but we never take it home, definitely. We would have it if we have it at the office. I think it's a very constructive argument, let me put it nicely. It's a very constructive argument that we have, and any particular conclusion that's coming up to would be there for a reason. So we revisit it and understand it, what the conclusion was. I hope that is good. Okay.
My question is to Shafina and to Sonia. And of course, Deepika, I have met you. You all three are wonderful ladies. Thank you. It was a good opportunity to listen to you all. You all three have the same values and principles. But more important, as daughters or daughter-in-laws of noted personalities in this marketplace, you three stand out very strong. We are whole sort of ladies here who also have a very strong background and come from different culture, etc. My question to Shafina is, Shafina, one, very impressed to hear what you said in your coffee entrepreneurship which you're doing. Would you have done something different if you had not to be daughter of Yusuf Ali? One, you are educated in finance. You had this strong backbone. Is that the reason that you went into doing some business? And that also you chose a coffee line because you knew your father is going to back you up? To Sonia, as Naveen rightly said, the jewelry business is taking a toll in this marketplace. A lot of jewelers have closed and gone away, which is open to everyone, nothing, no secrets. Back way in Dera, etc. I knew your father way back when he had one shop in that same old gold souk. Today, Joy Alucas has got a great success story with so many shops.
150,
and
right? 161.
161. So as you said, you don't have plans to move. Are you going to shut something and do something differently? Or is this challenge, for how long is this challenge going to be? What is your gut feel as a marketing director promoting this jewelry business in this marketplace? I'm sure that's going to enlighten all of us in the current situations as we stand in. And Deepika, I know you're very much into spiritualism. God bless you, and thank you very much.
My answer would be that I wish, again, that I had the luxury of thinking if, and I don't usually reflect on if and what ifs and but ifs. But I think definitely having my father's name behind me has opened doors, undoubtedly, and I'm always grateful and blessed and thank the Almighty God every day for giving me my father and my husband. But if I believe in myself enough to think that even if I was not my father's daughter or my husband's wife, I would still be doing what I love to do. I would still be doing what I'm passionate about.
The next question.
Oh, the question two as well. Okay. So my question, thank you for the question. Yes, you rightly said, we do have heavy competition. You can see it, and there's many jewelers that have closed as well. And but when you look at it, gold is a commodity which is very liquid. And for us, we are a jeweler which focuses predominantly on Indian subcontinent, and our jewelry style and everything is very Indian style. And being raised in an Indian household where you've been always told that gold is an investment. So the power of actually buying gold has actually, but people are very controlled with their finances at the moment, but at the same time, they would always buy enough gold to keep them safe because it's easily liquid. It's liquid money. It's as same as liquid money. So the business is a little upside up and down at the moment, but we do revisit looking at locations which don't do well, and we open in areas which are more of the market. So we, as a company, we sit together, we sit in the board, and we look at the next 5-year plans or next 10-year plans, and we have a strategy in place. So we are very agile. So we are not just sticking to what worked before. And even my father-in-law and my husband, being on the board, they are very focused on long-term goals. They don't want to make any short-term gains, and they want to make long-term gains. And so that's why we close some shops which don't do well. and we open them in different areas which are doing well. So that's how I think the balance of anything works. So finance is very important. We have our quarterly meetings, we take our quarterly reports, and what we can see in the first quarter determines on how you can change the rest of the 3 quarters. So it is very important to sit in the meeting of the first 2 quarters, and the half-yearly reports, we have a proper meeting, and then you can change the rest of the year by looking at that. So finance is very important. We are very focused on how the finances, what the numbers are telling us, and accordingly, we work on either changing or continuing our strategy. But I think a lot of things are changing at the moment. So there's
Change is the only thing that's constant.
yes, and people want to be different. They don't want to have the same thing. So we have many concepts that we have developed as well. Another concept that we developed from Joy Alucas is Amira, which is not at all similar to the style of Joy Alucas jewelry. So we are revisiting our clientele. We are revisiting what works. So we focus on what is running, what is not. And I think we are having a good balance there in seeing what is happening.
Can I add to that? Because I also have I play 2 dual roles. I do both corporate communications and CSR. So we also have a retail brand. And you'll be surprised that in this market, like you're saying, we are opening our first flagship store in Abu Dhabi because we are in the kiosk business. It is basically, I think, right now, for sustainability, I think the key is innovation. You come up, like, for example, our brand has now come up with jewelry that is made of 9 and 10 carat, more affordable, because there are people, and as long as there are people, they're always buying jewelry. And now you actually think of first we all were working towards the millennials, now you work towards the Gen Z. What do they need? So innovation is, constant innovation is required. And I think when in terms of marketing budgets have become a little tight, earlier you would do your billboards, your newspaper advertisements, much more with luxury, but now you are controlled in that way. And I think basically innovation is the key over here.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks for the words of wisdom, where men can learn from women a lot. You prove to be great mother, great women to the household you belong to. And the moderator has been very kind enough to hold on to the time as well as the outputs. I have a one-word question, a TikTok question. What is the best advice have you given to your husband which has catapulted his business and appreciated? Wait. The same way, what is the advice that your husband has given to you and contributed, appreciated? Because all men and women, especially husband and wife, earn for appreciation between each other. So that's my question here. So one word that changed you, that changed him. From all 3 of us, the great wisdom people here.
And I think our words were less of wisdom and more of heartfelt. So I think just 2 days back, this is not, like they say, the dinner table conversations always. Just yesterday, my father-in-law was sitting on the table, and he said something that I think is going to stay with me forever. He said that, he asked my oldest child, are you the best? He said, I don't know what he answered, but he said, never try to be the best. Always try being the second best, because you always motivate yourself to push yourself more to do better. So I think I picked that up and I said, actually, you know what? When you think you're the best, there's no scope of growth. When you think you're almost there, you're always going to push yourself for some more. And advice to husband, I said, I think I'm always learning from him. But at times I do tell him that I am the consumer. If I tell something, listen to me, because I'm the one who's going to go and buy from your brand. So that's for me.
Okay. I think something that I've told him that hopefully has sort of resonated with him is what I'm telling him every day that he faces a tough decision or a tough day at work. I tell him that tomorrow is another day, and I think those words has a lot more meaning in it, because it is telling him that irrespective of how today went, there is us, your family, your wife, your kids standing here behind you. And tomorrow is another fresh day to make new, fresh decisions. And that's something I think, hopefully that's resonated with him. Something that he said to me would be tough. I think my father says a lot of things every day to me that resonates. But something that I think he said, that Adeeb, my husband, said to me, that stays with me every day is disrupt your business. Every day, look at your business in a way that if I were to start this fresh today, what would I change? What would I do differently? And I think that has stayed with me forever. Every morning I wake up and say, if I had to do this all from scratch, what would I do different? Especially in this changing market, I think that's what's helped me.
Okay, so the advice, I've been thinking when they were talking, so I'm just like, I need to get something different. So, okay. So the advice that my husband has been giving me, what I feel is most of the time he keeps saying, it's okay to make mistakes. But the only thing is, whenever you make mistakes, just be accountable for it. And you need to know that you were responsible for it. So the next time you try again, you need to make sure that you are doing it with a purpose. So the first time you would have done something, you would think like, it's okay, let me try it. And you would have failed. So you learn from your mistakes. That is something that I feel very strongly that he has said, it's okay to make mistakes. So you don't have to have the pressure of, it's coming from you, so it has to be the correct thing. So it's okay to make mistakes, keep making mistakes, and that's how you learn. And an advice that I would give him or the other men in the business is that technology is very strong, and I think it is very important that we need to incorporate technology into our ways of our business very seriously, because everybody in the future, or us as well, we spend a lot of time with technology in our hands, in our palms. And the next best thing, like if you're going to eat food, you're checking what are the reviews. If you're going traveling somewhere, what are the hotels? Everything follows on reviews. So technology is very important, and we need to bring it a little bit more into our business. Something.
Hi, my name is Meher Pesania. I have just one question for Sonia. That will save my time and your time too. This question is going to make all the he's and the she's happy, believe me, in this room.
Okay.
The question is, when is Joy Alucas coming up with 80% discount on the diamonds? And in the what scenario or under what situations does a company like Joy Alucas come up with such high discounts? Quickly give me 2 or 3 words and I'll understand. Thank you.
I think we're deviating from the whole he for she topic from here, but I'll still answer your question. But every jeweler or every company has competitors. And competition, when your competitors do a lot of things, if you have to stay in the same market, or if you have to pull in a lot of people, when you're having clearance sale, you go to a jewelry, not only a jewelry, let's go to a clothing brand. You do see a lot of clearance sale happening. So in order to have a little bit of shelf space, we do a little bit of clearance with the old stock, the old styles, which cannot do well, with a little cost burdening on ourselves, but being on an advantage to the customer. So when you get something on discount, doesn't mean that you're actually getting it on discount, but the company is actually taking the burden and giving it to you in more better way. Then what was your second question? That's it. When? Okay. Well, meet me after this and I'll give you a special voucher for 100% discount. Forget it, no problem.
Thank you for your question. And ladies, thank you very much. What I'm seeing today is this, that each one of you has an important role to play in the second generation in the business. And I see that each one of you will take on a more challenging role in the future. But what more important is I'm seeing there's a very good family support system. And there's a lot of confidence of the older generation in the young, which is what we've been talking about today, which has been our topic, he for she. And the he for she is not only the father, but it's the father-in-law, it's the brother, it's the spouse. And I think in our audience, I'm sure it is all that we've heard today has resonated very well with you. It's gone down very well with you. And we hope that IBPC for she becomes a much wanted and look forward to event again. And thank you very much once again. The ladies, of course, are here if you'd like to speak to them privately.
Could request our president, Mr. Nimish Makwana, please come forward. Just a moment of presentation.